Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Hickory Podcast. Today, we're doing another local small business spotlight, and our guest is Ron Weber with Mountain View Sound and Video. Ron helps his clients in our area optimize their audio video experience and smart home features in their homes and businesses. Ron, thanks so much for being on the show today. Why don't we start by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the sound and video business?
Sure, and thanks for having me today. My story is somewhat extensive, but I'll try and keep it short. I started out in the electronics field right out of high school, and this blueprint behind me is a 365-acre amusement park called Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. And that's where I got started in the electronics field as a technician. I earned a degree in electronics engineering and MIS, and then a bachelor's in business and finance. So my career started really as a minimum wage tech. I was promoted to management once we developed a camera system that could take your picture on a roller coaster.
Nice.
And so my bosses, unfortunately, became my employees. So that's how I got started, and the rest is kind of history. We've always had an audio video business throughout my career. So I've had, really a business career, and then I've had a corporate career, and I've held numerous positions in the corporate world. Most recently, I was a corporate controller for 12 years before I moved to North Carolina. And then once I got to North Carolina, I really kind of wanted to just simplify things. And I just opened Mountain View Sound and Video as, public demand. And it's really what I love to do. It's easy for me. It's second nature, but it's also very low stress. And I get to make a lot of people happy every day. So that's a good thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What types of products would you say are most popular with your customers now?
Our logo says "Smart Made Simple," and that is not by accident. We actually trademarked "Smart Made Simple" because throughout my career, that's the only thing that I ever heard from my clients is, "Why does this have to be so complicated?" So we, instead of kind of providing customers with what we think is cool, we listen to the customer and we try to achieve that goal of giving them something simple to use. Press one button to make it work. I don't need all of this complicated equipment to have music in my house, for instance. So smart made simple, that's our motto. And so wireless sound systems, smart menus on your TVs, and good internet service in the house. Those are the kind of the core of what we provide today. And that's what people are asking for.
Awesome. So when someone is building or remodeling a home, how early should they consult with someone like yourself to plan out what needs to be done and kind of like where do they start?
Yeah. The electricians, when the electricians are in there wiring their rough end, they call it, that's when we would go in and do any pre-wiring for permanently mounted speakers in the ceilings and things like that. Obviously, from a work standpoint, that's when we need to get in. But in a design stage, we can actually quote an entire home right from a blueprint before the client ever breaks ground. So, working from a blueprint, we can give them a budgetary number to say, this is what you should budget for all of your AV needs based on what you've told me that you want, and then we can go from there.
Okay. Super.
As early as you want.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
good. Earlier is better than
right.
obviously.
Yeah.
So what if someone has like an older system that needs to be upgraded? What can you do to help people in a situation like that? I mean, there's
hmm
some of the older systems that have like racks and like all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Like, are you able to help people like that?
Yes. And the thing about that is from when I started in 1985 to about 5 years ago, That's what every system was a rack of equipment, and it was all of these different pieces of equipment that had to communicate to each other either with a universal remote or some other way. But in most cases, it was too much stuff. So what we do now is we remove all that stuff because the technology over the past 5 years has changed dramatically. It's a totally different landscape than what it was 5 years ago to 30 years ago. And now it's all wireless. We can actually remove that rack of equipment and put in a mesh Wi-Fi system that allows all of the new devices to communicate over Wi-Fi and eliminates a lot of that cabling, all of that rack of equipment. And we don't put in cable boxes, for instance. We don't put in satellite dish boxes anymore. We put in smart TVs that only require the electrical plug and an internet connection over Wi-Fi, and your sound systems are the same way. So, and then if you have a home that has existing speakers in the ceiling, and we have a lot of those calls, we can actually put in equipment that still uses that permanently mounted equipment in the ceilings, like your speakers or outside deck speakers, and we can give you the functionality to play your music while you're sitting out on the deck and open up a Sonos app and say, I want to play classic rock or whatever, and adjust the volume and change the channel or do whatever I want. I never have to touch that equipment again. So besides removing that rack of equipment, we're now able to hide it in different spots as well. We can put it in a mechanical room. We can, leave it in a cabinet, but severely downsize and clean it up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about smart home technology like cameras, alarm system, and things like that? What do you recommend to your clients when helping them set up systems like that? I mean, I don't know if you actually do that part too, or if you have people that you work with on that.
No, we do. So smart home technology, that's a very broad paintbrush. So in our world, it starts with the core or the foundation of what everything communicates on, and that's your Wi-Fi. So we use a Eero Mesh Wi-Fi. That's probably the best mesh Wi-Fi I've ever used. We have over 300 clients on that system right now. And so we build a Wi-Fi core network. We add on the smart TVs, which use internet Wi-Fi. We add on music systems, which are Wi-Fi and internet based. And then we can add wireless cameras. We can add doorbells. We can add any host of other devices, the common thread being that most of the new devices in smart homes are going to be Wi-Fi based. So even the shades, we do motorized shades, and we do automated lighting with Lutron. So we can, again, based on the Wi-Fi system in the home, all of those devices communicate over Wi-Fi. So I can have the shades go down at dusk, and I can have the lights come on at dusk and give me a nice light down the hallway if I want additional lighting, or turn security lighting on and off, turn it on at night and turn it off in the morning. I never have to touch those switches. Again, those are all smart home features that we try to leverage what the functionality of a smart home is, not just what a cool factor is. Because it's cool, but coolness doesn't always equate to being easy to use or really functional. So what we try to do is we bridge that gap and make a smart home that's actually functional and valuable, has a value to the client, and that it makes their day a little bit easier. They don't have to go out and remember to close the shades or turn the lights on or off and that kind of thing.
Do you have specific brands that work better than others, like within the networks that you use? Like what, like for like the smart cameras and stuff like that? Which ones do you recommend there?
Yes, so there's a distinction between what we call a self-monitored system versus a monitored system. A monitored system is an alarm system that would dispatch, emergency services, fire, rescue, police. And we are licensed in the state of North Carolina to install those systems. We use alarm.com for a lot of that equipment. And then for the self-monitored equipment, which means that I'm the only one that needs to see that camera, okay? And I get a notification on my phone if I'm on vacation and somebody comes to my front door. That's a self-monitored system. I can choose what to do with that information.
Okay.
And we use Ring for that type of stuff.
Okay.
Ring is a very good product and it works really well. But we often have that conversation about, do you want it monitored for dispatch of emergency services, or do you want to monitor it yourself? And then from there, we choose what equipment we're going to use.
Okay. Super.
Yeah.
We've used Ring products in the past for our house, and we were pretty happy with it. And then at our office, we use these. I guess it's what the heck is it called now? I guess it used to be Nest, but now they changed it. Or
It's
something.
owned by Google now.
Yeah.
So Nest was a great product, and I have Nest in my own home. But when Google got their fingers on it, I mean, it just kind of blossomed into some marketing, platform. I get it. I like the product, but I'm not. I think that Ring really gets to the point, and you're paying for the technology that it brings, and where Google tends to want to just market to you. They take your information and then they're just inundating you with a lot of different products. Then
Okay.
they don't make it easy.
Interesting. Okay.
Ring isn't in that category, in my opinion. It's really designed for the user.
Okay. Super. Let's talk about, we talked a little bit about internet connections, and there's a lot of places where, where people like to, if someone wants to be kind of off the grid a little bit, or somewhere that doesn't have a really good internet connection.
Yeah.
What are some options for people there
Yeah.
that can kind of still take advantage of services like that you have to offer?
Sure. Well, we up to about 2 years ago, we didn't have any options, but now we have a company called Starlink, which is an Elon Musk SpaceX company, and Starlink is really the Swiss Army knife for internet, because everywhere, literally any spot on Earth that you couldn't get internet before, all you need is power now, and you just set out a Starlink antenna and you're able to access right now one of 6,000 satellites in orbit. There will be 15,000 satellites in orbit within the next 24 months.
Wow.
So that system is so advanced. We're able to get speeds of 200 to 300 megs download, and which allows people to work remotely in places that they never would have thought of. They can have voice over IP phone calls. They can do video conferencing and all of those types of things, where out in the middle of a cornfield, if you wanted to, all you need is power, So a lot of people, we have an RV and we travel, and this is a very big thing for RVers, because a lot of times you go to places and they have poor Wi-Fi. People aren't able to work remotely, and now you can with Starlink. But more importantly, you got homes I have homes in Hickory that couldn't get anything over 1 to 2 megs download because they were on DSL. And we installed Starlink there, and they're now on par with cable and fiber. So
that's amazing how fast that technology has changed things and opened things up. On the Starlink system, do they have like a portable version? I guess you said like you can use it for your RV. Like, how big of a unit is it?
The unit that you have now that's portable is, I would say it's about 18 by 24 inches is the antenna.
Wow.
And so, within the past few months, the system has taken another, step in coverage. So I don't have to necessarily have that antenna pointed in any direction. All I have to do is have it facing vertically to the sky above me, which means that I can have trees around me. As long as I have a clear view to the sky directly above me, I'm golden and I can get that signal. Because at any one time, you're going to have probably 5 satellites that are transversing or transmitting in that path, and you're able to grab the internet from any one of those.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
How about we talked a little bit about brands before, but as far as like, smart home stuff with cameras and that sort of thing, what about like television brands? Is there any that you like when you're like kind of planning
Yeah.
things out that you kind of prefer over others from an easy use
Sure.
standpoint?
From my standpoint, I take a very technical approach to the equipment that we choose, but I also take a realistic approach in that what manufacturers are going to be able to supply a level of customer support that I would expect. In other words, if they don't take care of me, how do I ever expect them to take care of my client? So we go with that. That's one factor. The technology is another factor. So Samsung is our choice for TVs. We're a factory direct Samsung dealer. We get all of our inventory right from Samsung, not Best Buy, not Amazon or eBay or anywhere else. Sonos, we're factory direct with Sonos. Same thing. Sonos is the premier wireless music provider for homes. And, we were a Bose dealer for 25 years. Bose kind of left that market, and Sonos not only took it over, but they mastered what Bose was trying to do. And Sonos has taken that to another level. There are a lot of other companies that try to do what Sonos does, but they just can't quite make it. So we chose to go with Sonos, and we chose to be factory direct also with Eero.
Okay.
The things that we provide with the Eero Wi-Fi is, as a pro dealer, I have a dashboard that I can see the equipment and their status online. So instead of having you call Spectrum or Verizon or whoever your internet provider is and waiting on the phone for a half hour, a lot of clients will just text me and say, "Hey, my internet's acting up. What do you think?" And it takes me 10 seconds to check that dashboard to say, "Yeah, the access point that's in your living room is unplugged. You might want to go check it."
Okay.
So it's as easy as that.
Wow.
And I can also log. I have logs that'll tell me if somebody has a bad internet connection and they're fighting with their internet company, saying an internet company says, "Well, your service has been fine." I can actually produce a log down to the minute of every outage they've had in the past 30 days.
Wow.
So they can use that to go to their internet company and, demand a service call for somebody to check their service to their house. We didn't have that before. And you won't get that if you just buy Eero off the shelf. It has to be done by a pro installer, and that's when you get that access.
Now, obviously, your time is valuable for doing everything and putting things in or whatever. Are the prices comparable that you're able to get for your products if people are to buy them through you and have them
Yeah,
installed versus if they were to like go to Best Buy or something like that?
right. And that's called the unilateral pricing. So Samsung has that, Sonos has that, and so does Eero. So we're able to supply the product at the same price as a Best Buy or an Amazon. Now, Amazon's a little bit funny because a lot of times that's not from an authorized dealer. If
Right.
it's not from an authorized dealer, it doesn't have a warranty.
Okay.
But Best Buy is usually our benchmark. Our pricing is going to be equal to Best Buy. And the advantage is if I pull a TV out of a box and it's bad out of the box, the customer doesn't have to find out where they bought it from, go through the return process, get another TV, and then pay me to come back out to reinstall it. I handle it at no cost to the customer because it came from my warehouse. So and that's something that helps me because I'm always getting the number one stock from my warehouse. I'm not getting something that someone returned a week ago or a damaged box. And so it helps me run my business more efficiently if I'm the supplier of the equipment. And it helps me support my client better because I know exactly where it came from and I can get it handled in a heartbeat where it might take them several weeks.
That's great. That's really good. And I think, I think of all the times that, that I've actually gone to the store and brought home something and it was cracked. I remember my first big screen TV I bought at Sam's Club and brought it back home. I got it all out of the box and the screen was cracked on it. And I had to lug it back into my truck and take it back to the
Yeah.
store. And they're like, questioned me on whether it was me. And like,
Oh
they
yeah.
actually took it back. But like, to know that you're there and can take care of that stuff. And I think it's, indicative of, kind of like, I feel like since COVID, although, it seems like a lot of businesses have been so rushed to try and just get stuff for people that I feel like customer service kind of taken like a step back. And I think businesses like yours, where you've got it all figured out for the customer first, and can give them a seamless experience. I think the more and more people that look at business like that, I think it's, they're really going to thrive, and it shows why your business thrives as well. I mean, since you provide such good service to your people and you are so well versed in the product and understand how the consumer really wants to make it work. So,
Yeah. Yeah, really for me, that's two pieces. One is, this is my life. I mean, I have been in the electronics field forever, and I've seen every, flavor of technology that you can imagine. Why not leverage that to help people? I enjoy doing it. And, the second part of that is the level of customer service that is a byproduct of that knowledge because I'm able to cut through the gimmicks and the marketing things and just get straight to what works,
yeah,
what's reliable. And because, like if I was going to hire someone to come into my own home, I would want that level of service. So a lot of times I'll tell my customers, and it's the absolute truth, I will treat that like my own home because when I leave that home, it's got my name all over it. And if it doesn't work, I don't want my name attached to something that doesn't work. So I always want the customer to get more than what they thought they were getting. So that's what I'm able to do by that. It's like I said, it's my life of what I do. It's 24/7. That research and that exposure to all of the new technology is just something that I do. It's not that I have to work at it. And I just enjoy bringing that to the table for people that want that and want to cut through all of the, we're inundated by Black Friday deals and all these kinds of things all the time. And, there's definitely an advantage to have an expert in your corner that you can call and say, hey, what do you think about this?
that's great. No, and I think, sometimes, I really wish people sometimes would really look at things from that perspective a little bit more. And, before I knew you, I never
Yeah,
really thought of it that way either. So,
that's
um,
true.
but anyway, but yeah, I really, really appreciate it. Is there anything that we did not get to cover that you wanted to make sure that we got to talk about?
Really, our business, lastly, is a very niche type business. So not everyone's going to use us. I get that, and but for those that don't have the time to do all that research and to do all of that legwork to put a system together. It's like building a house. I mean, you wouldn't try to build your own house unless you're a really experienced contractor. Well, technology is kind of approaching realm because there's so much to choose from and there's so many caveats and holes that you can fall into. It's nice to have someone, like I said, it's in your corner that can give you the real straight answer. So I just like being that guy. It's not from a, it's not from anywhere other than this is my life, and I think it is great to share that information with people because, if somebody calls me, I don't charge anybody for a phone call, even if they never do business with me. If they call me and say, what does this thing do? I'll pull up the manual online and look at it and say, well, that does this and that does that. And I don't mind helping people do that. That's where our business is different. We actually care about our client, not to say that other businesses don't, but in a world of, like you said, I want it now, I want it cheap, and I want it, just to work. Those things don't always come together in the same package. And so we can help people be more efficient by doing what we do, and that's specializing in the technology and really knowing what we're talking about, and knowing that industry, back and forth. So we like doing it, and I'm going to be here for the next 10 years at least, and then my project manager will eventually take over the business, but I'm in it for a long haul. Yes, I love doing it, and I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk about it with you today.
Sure. Well, I appreciate you being on the show today, and I think the listeners and viewers definitely learned a lot. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to consult with you?
Yeah. So my direct line, right to my cell phone, 24/7, 828-515-4388. That's my cell number. Every one of my clients has that number. They can text me or call me even on a Sunday afternoon. I always tell them, as long as I'm not sitting in dinner with my wife, I'll answer the phone. So, and that's really the best way to get a hold of me. I have it with me all the time. Our website is mvsoundandvideo.com. That's M as in mountain, V as in view, soundandvideo.com. And then my email is on that website as well, but that's ron@mvsoundandvideo.com.
Awesome.
So look at different ways.
And I'll make sure that I put your information, your contact information in the show notes as well. And then on the YouTube and Facebook video, I'll make sure it comes up in the scroll underneath.
Thank you.
Record it. So, but yeah, if anybody has any questions or needs anything from a audio video standpoint, definitely reach out. Ron is a great resource and a really good guy. And, just hopefully, if anybody has anything they need, anything like that, please don't hesitate to give Ron a holler. But
we'd love to help.
Yeah. So thanks again, Ron, for
thank
being
you
on the show. And until next time, we'll see you soon.
All right, buddy. Thanks again.
All right.
Bye.